And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda Ji commences tonight's satsang with a Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. We begin with Mystic Song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is based on a poem by Swamiji. It's called I Am Air. In the ocean waves, I play without any care. I age in stormy air, rejoicing in youth and a spring fair. Breaking the mountains, moving the stars. I am the all-powerful wind, giving rise and joy. I hold the stars and wrap myself in the soft clouds. I mingle with tender dew, unwinding flowers, giving wings to the flying white swans. I am opening the buds to rub their fragrance. I blow the trumpet of thunder and gather clouds, causing the rains to run over the whole universe. We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda in Miami, Florida. Today is July the 21st, 2021, Wednesday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Yoga Vasistha. This is Series 2018, class number 354. And now Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha Nirvana Prakarana Purvardha, Section 116. Characteristics of Chitta Nash. That's characteristics of enlightenment. Sri Rama had asked, what are the characteristics of the mind when it begins to melt in Brahman? And Sage Vasistha is giving insight into that state. An insight into the state of enlightenment. When the knots of subtle desires are gradually destroyed, all the negative traits of the mind, such as anger and delusion, continue to diminish in the personality of a sage. There are three knots of the heart that you have to always remember. Avidya, Kama, Karma. Avidya is causal knot. You are knotted with your causal body. Kama, you are knotted with your subtle body. Karma, you are knotted with your physical body. The more mala, gross impurities like anger, hate, etc., the more you are involved with body identity. You always remember how long you have to live, how much you have gone through, what other challenges you have to face. And the mind gets so occupied with that, there's nothing, no room for anything else. So mala keeps the mind so immersed. Kama is the source of strength for mala. Subtle desires, impure vasanas, as long as they are there, even though you control your mala, they will come back. You control anger, but your vasana is not being purified. Then you are never sure that you have gained absolute self-control. And those kama movement, subtle desires, they are rooted in ignorance, avidya. That dominates a person in the form of a causal plane. You go very close to your avidya when you are in deep sleep. And avidya is a great relief, beyond belief. Everything you don't know, everything goes away from your view. And avidya is removed by enlightenment. That you look at the sky, in the beginning you see nothing but the blue sky. That's a view of avidya. But use telescope, now you are seeing something totally different. I'm just ordinary illustration. So that's the big difference between ignorance and enlightenment. Ignorance, you are looking at the sky and nothing else to look at. That's all that you have. Enlightenment, a penetrating vision that opens up room for Milky Ways and vast expansion. So when the knots of subtle desires are gradually destroyed, all the negative traits of the mind, such as anger and delusion, continue to diminish in the personality of a sage. Desire becomes exhausted. Greed runs away. No one knows where. The senses are not elated with excitement. There is no sense of regret due to any development. All these are subtle ideals that you must work for attaining enlightenment. And what are the ideals? Your heart should not be constantly pressured by desire for objects of the world. These desires, when they become intense, they are called trishna, craving. Craving is a kind of a thirst that the more you try to quench it, it's like you're quenching your thirst with salty water. The more salt you take, the more thirst increases. So trishna na jirna, craving doesn't age. Craving gets youthened. Your body ages. What to do with it? And when we are dominated by craving, all these malas, gross impurities, overpower your mind. Kama, lustful desires, krodha, anger, lobha, greed, mada, pride, matsarya, gossiping habit. So all these malas, they act like robbers, robbing you of your inner peace. But now As you are moving towards enlightenment, they begin to run away. Malas become sublimated. The senses are not elated with excitement. You become normally in a state of unenlightened state. Everyone is subject to harsh and dvesh. Harsh means you become so elated when things happen the way you want. And you become so hateful when things are obstructed. But you become free as Chittanash continues. You become free from all this. No harsh, no dvesh, no udveg. Udveg is agitation in your personality. And then what type of mind do you possess is highlighted by serenity. Misery does not multiply. Malas continue to draw a future full of misery. If you want your future to be bright, malas should not dominate your mind. That's the big secret for having a real bright future. A future of constant spiritual success leading to enlightenment. That's a real bright future. Bright future is to be successful in the practice of integral yoga and to continue to ascend steps of wisdom. If you continue, your future is bright. Just to understand the point that if you are practicing sustained sadhana, you may not know how are you progressing, because major progress comes through your subconscious. But there is an internal sense of freedom, and that freedom gives you a kind of peace that you cannot find anywhere in the world. So misery does not multiply. The sense of elation does not surge in the heart. The refreshing breeze of equal vision, samadrishti, is like a breeze. You have been working hard under summer sun, with facing a stormy weather, and that's the allegorical description of staying without enlightenment. But when you move towards enlightenment, you are suddenly being drawn to a beautiful garden where there is soft wind is blowing, Sheetal Mand Sugandh. Sheetal cool, Mand gentle, Sugandh fragrant. And that type of psychological atmosphere develops. Therefore, this is called Bihar in Buddhist tradition. You are really being entertained in a profound way, a type of entertainment that brings inspiration in your heart for attaining enlightenment, for going higher and higher on the ladder of liberation. The reactions of pleasure and pain that are seen in the countenance of a sage are mere reflections cast on a tranquil lake. Sometimes you sit by a lake and you see the lake shimmering. And it does not in any way obstruct calmness of the lake. It is the calmness of the lake that expresses in a beautiful way when it shimmers, when it has a lift, soft shimmer. So, from the point of view of the sage, his apparent mental distress as well as mental fulfillment, relaxed state of mind or agitated state of mind, that I have already explained, led by prarabdha. Your karma can be all types. Swecha, things that are agreeable. Parecha, others around you lead you to do certain things. And anicca, things that come opposed. But nevertheless, all these experiences are simply shimmer, soft shimmer. That's from the point of view of the sage's heart. This is not seen in the external world. Externally, you will not find a sage absolutely different from others. But if you have spiritual sensitivity, then you will be drawn to the inspiring example of sage's life. So, the reactions of pleasure and pain, they do not color the mind of a sage, which stands ever unaffected due to the inner insight into the unreality of the world process. When the chitta dissolves, a sage is adored even by the gods. Why should gods adore sage? Where gods are being referred to those souls who have been led to Swarga, heavenly world, because of their righteous deeds. Righteous deeds done sakamya, with expectation of a heavenly pleasure. So they have intense pleasure, but not termination of cycle of birth and death. And for the spiritually sensitive mind, not having liberation is a dull-wit development. Even though you are having a condition of immense pleasure, eat, drink, be merry, go on enjoying it intensely, without limit. The enjoyment is limited in your embodied life because your nervous system always restricts how much happiness can you have. Beyond a certain limit of happiness, you will become unconscious. Similarly, sorrowful news. But after death, you are not limited by your subtle body, blended with causal body, is not limited by the nervous system. So therefore, if you are backed up by good karma, you enjoy intense pleasure, no limit, as well as you suffer from intense hellish pain. Swarga and Naraka, they are celestial, subtle experiences. And so those gods, and they are called gods when you have that heavenly experience of intense celestial pleasure. In those gods, when there comes spiritual sensitivity, they become exceedingly jealous of those who are treading the path of liberation. The path of liberation, that leading you to infinite bliss, compared to experiencing apparent bliss. There is vast difference. In other words, all those people who are in heaven, they are called gods. And those gods, when they come to discover anyone in the world entitled to attaining liberation, even that person is not having all the pleasure and luxury, yet the gods become jealous because their predicament is miserable. The personality of a sage is decked with beautiful ornaments of humility, calmness, universal love, spiritual power, a sparkling purity, and divine grandeur. An allegorical description of the personality of a sage. Decking your body with beautiful pearls and ornaments makes your body look wonderful. But that state of beauty is transient, apparent, illusory. The real beauty is when your subtle personality is decked with ornaments of virtues. The virtues are described as mystic ornaments. And what are those ornaments? Humility, calmness, universal love. Universal love means sarva bhuti hite rata, a heart that sends out prayer. May all be led to spiritual enlightenment. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. May all be happy. Sarve santu niramaya. May all be free of troubles, miseries. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. May all be led by Sanamati, intuitive understanding, to enlightenment. And thereby may all souls be free of all miseries. All souls, I have explained to you before, they are like reflected suns. All reflected suns, they are in reality the sun. Though encountering diverse conditions of prosperity and adversity, a sage is beyond pleasure and pain. Externally, it will appear that sage is affected by pleasure and pain, but that appearance is a soft shimmer in the lake of the mind. For the sage, all the miseries of life terminate in his consciousness. Here again you are being given a subtle point that you move away from bhav pratyaya to pratyaya bhav. All your experiences are reflections in consciousness. Instead of going after reflections, discover you are the consciousness, not reflected consciousness. Reflections are transient and illusory. Pure consciousness is the reality. Prajnanam Brahma. And that reality you are. In other words, if you are dreaming, no matter how diverse situations you may face in your dream, wonderful prosperity, great attainments, great thrill, how much you may face, but all that is illusory. So ultimately your dream must be moved away completely. The process is progressive. Those who do not endeavor to attain this state of enlightenment are indeed despicable human beings. The scolding of a sage. Don't stay a despicable human being without aspiration for God realization, without living your life for the fulfillment of real purpose, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. The world process is like an ocean of miseries. Since one has entered into it, one should develop dispassion towards the perishable pleasures of the world and try to cross this ocean by inquiring, who am I? Two movements are important: affirmation and inquiry. Affirmation is kind of visualization. Create in your mind as if you are seeing the goal from a distance. And that is done by affirmation. Each time you meditate, bring to your mind great statements of the scriptures. You are neither the body nor the mind. I am not the body, not the mind, not the intellect. Nothing exists. I am Satchidananda, existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. I am not an angry person. I am full of forgiveness. My face it shines with the divine beauty of Buddha, Krishna, Rama. If you do like this, the scriptures encourage you to do it. From ordinary point of view, this is the biggest lie. The one type of gross lie is negated by another type of lie. But again, it is not real lie. It is a positive. It is the real truth, not the lie. Because that is what you are essentially, even though you don't know it. You are in dream, in a miserable state. And in reality, you may be a very rich person, you may be a king. In your dream, you may be just a beggar. So, as a beggar, in your dream, a great friend comes and starts telling you, assert in your mind, you are a king, you are not this miserable wretch. So in dream it will appear a lie, but in reality it is not. So that type of affirmation begins to awaken you, and it enhances your vichar. Vichar means your intellect becomes very delightfully involved in understanding. How is it? Who am I? Instead of just going after how to find wealth, how to secure friendship, or how to remove your enemies, instead of allowing all that to happen, your inquiring mind goes after, who am I? And is led by the affirmation, I am Satchidananda. I am existence, consciousness, bliss absolute. You are led to that revelation by Mahavakyas, great utterances. The personality of a sage is decked with ornaments of humility, calmness, universal love, and so forth. Though encountering diverse conditions of prosperity and adversity, a sage is beyond pleasure and pain. All the miseries of life terminate in his consciousness. Those who do not endeavor to attain this state, they are despicable human beings. This world process is like an ocean of miseries. If one's chitta melts in the fire of wisdom, then one crosses the ocean of the world process and experiences the infinite bliss of the self. Next section, Prajapati Manu instructs Ikshvaku. The Gita also has mentioned Manu Ikshvaka Ver Vadet. Manu taught the divine teachings to Ikshvaku. All that is an allegorical storyline. In other words, the entire creation is sustained by the divine law. The divine law that truth triumphs over falsehood. Light conquers darkness. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Death is conquered by immortality. While ruling his kingdom with righteousness, the king one day entered a secluded place and inquired within himself. He reflected upon the nature of old age, death, pain, pleasure, and the numerous fleeting experiences of life. He wanted to know the cause of this world process. Unable to find answers to his inquiries, he went to see his father, Prajapati Manu, in the heavenly world. He approached his father with humility and asked, "O compassionate father, I want to understand the true nature of this world process. How vast is this world? When and how was this world created? How can I attain freedom from the widespread net of the world process and soar in the absolute expansion of the self?" Sage Manu replied, "You have asked a wonderful question. This question of yours is the eradicator of the seed of the world process. You are being given insight into the practice of inquiry, which are: first, be aware of the practical reality and allow your mind to understand that in this world of practical reality, you will never have absolute perfection. No matter how much you gain, ultimately you pass on, leaving everything behind. How long can you go on moving and attaining things and losing them? How big is this world process? How long this world process will continue? Instead of going on to explore your dream, how big it is, when it came, when will it end? Start going after, who am I? Am I really the dream subject? Am I really the dream involved in the dream world which is not real? So all these three experiences in your dream, you're being subject, experiencing the world of your dream, and experiencing your interactions that cause pleasure and pain. All these are illusory. This insight that the dream is illusory, all your experiences are like mirage, that insight must grow. as a result of your inquiry. Who am I? What is the truth? The visible world is, in fact, an illusory appearance, like a mirage. The self is the reality behind this apparent world. The world is reflected in the self due to illusion. Though the self sustains the appearance of the world process, yet it is unaffected by the world of multiplicity, such as a lake is unaffected by the reflections that appear in it. Simple illustration, but vivid. You go and sit by the lake, and if you are involved with reflections, and one type of reflection has pleased your mind, and then suddenly clouds come in the sky, and you're enjoying the reflected vision, moves away from your mind. Now agree what happened. But all the time you're looking at the lake. Nothing has gone wrong with your lake. Nothing has gone wrong with pure consciousness. That's the reality, the truth. You are always aware of pleasure. You are aware of pain. You are aware of all transient things. Behind all the variable experiences, consciousness is invariable. That pure consciousness is the I am. Aham Brahmasmi. Bondage and release are facts for the conditioned mind. But in the state of enlightenment, there is no bondage, so there is no need for release. Therefore, O King, attain freedom from the illusion of the world process and become fearless. Section 118. Methods for attaining self-realization. Prajapati continued, Manu, like waves arising in the ocean, the world process arises in Brahman. The mind overcome by ignorance continues to be colored by diverse impressions, samskaras. The self, conditioned by the limited mind, assumes the role of an incarnating soul that travels through the illusory world process, seeking its liberation from the wheel of birth and death. In fact, the experiences of pleasure and pain exist only in the mind. That's easily understood. All the pleasure and pain that we experience in deep sleep, where do they go? If they are real, they will not go away. But they are unreal. The moment you shed your ego in deep sleep, that's the difference. Your mind is not dominated by ego. Ego moves away from your mind. And mind comes very close to enlightenment. But sleep experience is a negative state of enlightenment. The enlightened states of experiencing samadhi is like +4. Experiencing sleep is -4. 4 is the same. The self is ever free from the modifications of the mind. This self cannot be realized by merely studying scriptures. It can be realized only by the intuitive intellect. And intuitive intellect is gained by your practice of integral yoga in daily life. The intuitive intellect, you become free of egoism and attachment. You become free of ahamta and mamata. Ahamta, sense of ego. This is me. Mamata, this is mine. You become free from these illusions. And that state is Sahaj Samadhi, a spontaneous state of super consciousness. And that's experienced by a sage at all times. For aspirant, this is to be reached in a progressive manner, step by step. And with this, I'll conclude for now. Om Ram 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 Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya of grace of God for all of you, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.
There was a question tonight. Can you
Yes,
take a
go
question? Wait, the mic's not. While we're getting the mic ready, remember you have a set-aside time this Friday for a special delight. You'll be enjoying Swamiji's special Guru Purnima message this Friday.
Pranam Gurudev. Gurudev, you described the other day that Mithya Manav is born in a void. So is Mithya Manav same as the dream state, and we have to overcome that before we can go to the substratum? So what is the significance of Mithya Manav born in a void?
You're already understanding in the right way. In a dream state, your personality is Mithya Manav. It's a false personality. How do you wake up from your dream? 2 ways. First, do something in your dream that becomes pleasant dream. Second, come to a state of discovery that it is a dream, even while you are dreaming. It happens sometimes. In your dream, you know it is a dream. Then the whole dream world becomes relaxed. even though you are going through most miserable situation, you have fallen from a ladder, broken your leg, and you have the insight, it's a dream. It can be positive, it can be negative, but all that's mithya mano. All that is false. But then when you come to that state, you are practically free from misery. How long if the dream lasts, who cares? As long as you know it is a dream, eventually it will move away. So that's the...
Thank you, Gurudev.
And we conclude for tonight. We join Swamiji again on Friday for Guru Purnima message.